I found a video filter that I don't look so red in. Hello and welcome. I am Kathy Sikora, founder of the Health Coach Group and host of Health Coach Conversations. I am here today with Tracy Fance. She's a psychic coach. She helps women to heal their chronic health issues. She's been doing it since 2020. She's been a healer and an intuitive for over 14 years, and her coaching work is just a progression of that work. She works on a metaphysical basis, having been influenced by Louisa Hay and recent authors that work in the same vein. She's helped women to clear their fibromyalgia, chronic migraines, rosacea, thyroid dysfunction, gout, and many more conditions. The topic of our talk today is how the past creates your health and how you can heal it. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes.
Are you in the UK?
I am in the UK. I'm dressed for winter and you're dressed for summer.
That's right. I'm in Florida, though. It's always summer here.
I need to move to Florida then because it feels like it's always flipping winter here this year.
Yeah, I know. My son's in Wantage. What part of the UK are you?
I'm Kent and Wantage is that Hertfordshire?
It's by Oxford.
Yeah, so it's going up. It's just like on par with London, but across. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah. So yeah, he's not much better off than us. And I'm like down
no.
in the south of England. So if we're going to get good weather, it's going to be us, but not this year. So, so I'm really excited, but slightly nervous. So,
Oh, don't be nervous. We've got great editors, so we can even make mistakes.
oh, even better.
So I've already done your introduction and we can just start talking.
Okay,
How's
fantastic.
that? So how did you get started doing this?
Oh, well, God, the short answer or the long answer to that one. So, I've been into all things spiritual ever since I was a child. Don't know why, because none of my family were really into it. And back in 2009, I think it was, I trained as a Reiki master and practitioner. And Reiki is an energy healing modality for anyone that's not heard of it. Um, and as part of that, it led me to start looking into energy and looking into the effects of it and looking into the deeper meanings behind illnesses rather than just going, oh, I'm really unlucky, I've got MS, or I'm really unlucky, I've got, flu or whatever it is. So I just started delving down and it's kind of grown from there, really. It's just something I find so fascinating.
What kind of people, you know what, let me first tell you, the people
Yeah.
that listen to us are health coaches and doctors and nurses and dietitians and people like you. We have a lot of Reiki practitioners and even life coaches. So, all across the board. So if we look at the answers to this also as a way of how it might be integrated by a coach or a doctor or, partnerships back and forth, and how we can all work together to make it all happen, then that would be helpful. But
Okay.
who are the people that you help?
Okay. So Let me just say, I love integrative healthcare. I think it's a brilliant hybrid of everything. And I'm also a life coach as well. So I'm a bit of everything. Um, the people that come to me are quite polar. I've either got the people who are coming to me because they've tried everything and they'd go to a singing budgerigar if they thought it would help. And I don't mean that in a, I'm working with vulnerable people. I'm working with people that have tried the NHS, they've tried doctors, they might have tried some alternative therapies, and just nothing is bringing them answers or solutions.
So you're getting desperate people.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
I know people that are not into anything holistic, yet when they're up against it, like they've got chronic migraines or they've got fibromyalgia, and I'm not sure how you guys treat that in the US, but certainly in the UK, a lot of the doctors just turn around and go, "Oh, you've got it for life, get on with it." But when you're in pain and you can't play with your children and you can't function and you can't be a full partner and everything else, that's not really what you want to hear. So I think people that are getting that kind of answer from healthcare professionals, they literally will keep delving into anything that comes along, whether it's supplements, alternative therapies, just all sorts to try and find answers. And then at the other end of the scale, and especially since we had the pandemic, I've got those who aren't particularly into Western medicine. They would use that as a last resort. Okay. And I'm sure if they got hit by a car and needed surgery on their leg, they'd be fully on board with that. But in the meantime, they'd much rather go and find less invasive solutions. And a lot of people just don't want to be on long-term medication, like with conditions like fibromyalgia. And so they're looking for solutions that don't involve being in the healthcare system. And for your US listeners, our NHS system is free, but it's overloaded.
Hmm.
And so,
That's how ours is.
yeah,
There's not enough doctors.
no.
Yeah.
And so the problem is that you can be in the system even if you totally believe in it, and you could spend months getting to be seen, even if you've got cancer at the moment. The waiting times are escalating. So I kind of see polarized groups of people, predominantly women. Women are much more open to alternative stuff. And I've been doing psychic readings for like 14 years, and it's 95% women, but it has swung a little bit more. The guys are getting more on board. And so I would say probably maybe it's like 85%, maybe 90 at a push women. So it has changed, but it hasn't changed a huge amount.
Can anyone do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's nothing special about what I do. I use conventional tools. You may have heard of NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. And it's been around since the 70s, so that's not a new tool at all. And I combine that with some Reiki and some coaching skills, and I combine it with some intuitive um, information as well. And we just dig down into what's gone on, whether that's big trauma or little trauma. And everyone's had an emotional journey and we're all different, but most of our problems stem from that emotional journey. And so if you've got the tools, anyone can do what I do.
Yeah, so you do a little bit of traditional work and the Reiki too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't say that Reiki is not traditional. It's probably older, right?
It is. It's been around since the 1800s, so it actually
Yeah.
predates modern medicine, which is madness. And do you guys use Reiki in the hospitals in the US? In the UK, we do.
Um, More often it's being employed in the hospitals. It's something new that
Mm,
they're working with. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely taken on a bit more here in the last sort of 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Not in every hospital, but how do you approach healing and what methods and techniques do you use?
Okay, that's a really tricky one, because what I do is actually very intuitive. Although NLP is this toolkit of different things that we can use to help people with whatever problem they've got. I use them very intuitively. So I respond to what the client says to me. So if you said to me, I don't know, I've got gout going on, we would find out where that gout originated. And I would use the NLP tools to find it in your body and to go back to the point of origin. And I would use my intuitive skills and Reiki to help clear that trauma, and then to be able to use the energy to clear any other blocks emotionally, and to basically fill the void. Because when you change a habit, even if you stop someone smoking, you can't just leave that empty void there. So we fill it with something positive, which is where the Reiki would come in.
Do your patients, I don't know if you call them patients or customers, do they understand what you're doing, or do they need to understand what you're doing when they come to you for a Reiki treatment, or can they just be there and you do it?
Pretty much all of the above. Some of the people that have worked with me have known me for a long time, so they trust me. They've been to me for readings. They've been to me just for a relaxing Reiki session. And they're coming back to me with their chronic health problems.
Mhm.
And some of those are just like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. I trust you. I don't care. Then there's others who I can explain till I'm blue in the face, and it's so out of their comfort zone that they're still not going to fully grasp it. So I do explain to a client what I'm going to do as much as I can. And then it is kind of, look, just trust me, roll with it. Let me just let this unfold and just respond whenever I need you to. And the rest I'll take care of. And they'll, after the first one, they'll be like, oh my God, that was really easy. Or my God, that was really weird. And quite often when I see them the second time, they're like, oh my God, I don't know what you did to me last time, but my husband doesn't recognize me. Oh my God, I don't know what happened last time. I can't explain it to my family. They just think I'm gaga. So it is a tricky one, but I do believe in explaining as much as I can without frying their brain circuits, because there just comes a point where actually, if they just trust me and go with the flow, we'll get where we need to. And by living it, they'll understand it more than if I spend hours and hours trying to explain it.
That makes sense to me. Uh, what are some common issues or challenges that women come to you for help with, and how do you address those?
Okay. So the most common ones are chronic pain, IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, chronic migraines. So there's a lot of chronics in there. So all the chronic, like the full-on things that are probably not going to go away on their own. Sometimes they don't come to me with the health problem. They might come to me with an emotional problem or a behavioral problem. Like, I keep finding that people keep coming into my life and leaving my life, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and it upsets me. And then we'll delve into that, and I'll follow that back intuitively through where it is in their body. And that will release a memory from being left at play school when they were 4 that they don't remember. But it's created an abandonment issue, and that's manifested in them behaving in a certain way that actually pushes people away. So it's them that are at the center of the problem rather than other people. But predominantly, it is predominantly the chronic ones, some menopause in there as well. If I've got some women that are really struggling with menopause, I've had a few fertility ones recently. And it always comes back to emotional trauma at some point. It doesn't matter whether they were in the womb, a tiny tot, a teenager, or whatever. It will still be lodged in the subconscious brain.
What about somebody with addictions? Could somebody with addictions come to you and get help?
It is a tricky one, addiction. It depends on the addiction. I don't think I'm the best person to deal with someone who's got a major drug habit. if they've got addiction to cigarettes or overeating or gambling or hoarding, stuff like that, then that is something I'm quite happy to work with. I just think that as coaches and health professionals, we have to know the limit to what we do. And
Right.
if I were a qualified doctor who worked in addiction, I would be quite happy to use my toolkit to help that person.
Mhm.
And there is somebody not far from me who does use NLP and other counseling and trauma based therapy specifically to help people who've had addiction because he's been there. Okay. So it's very individual, and I'm always very honest. If I don't think I'm the right person, I will always either redirect them or just say it's not me and I don't have someone in my network that I can send you to, because I don't want to make their situation worse. And I think it's more professional to know when we're stepping too far away from what we do.
Well said. Can you share a success story or a transformative experience that one of your customers has had?
Oh God, so many to choose from. Um, I've got one lovely lady. She came to me for readings and Reiki, and then we were talking about different things, and it turns out that she'd got a dysfunctional thyroid. Hers was underactive, and they wanted to put her on medication, which she'd be on for the rest of her life. And she said, "I don't want to do that." Um, so she came to me, and we did have a fair few sessions because there was a lot to clear. And, you know, I always say I'm 51. Even though I've done a lot of self work, I can't clear 51 years of programming in one session. So I always try and set the expectations. And she did do a lot of self work, and that really makes a difference. So I do like to give my clients the tools to do things between sessions to speed up the process. But there are those that literally I can see them shut the door behind them and leave their baggage by my front door, and they pick it up when they come back in the next time. And their progress is going to be slower.
Mhm.
Um, but her thyroid now, she's had the blood tests done and she's completely balanced. She doesn't need any thyroid hormone. Her life is just so much different. She's got energy. She doesn't need to go and sleep for half a day just to be able to function. And she's just doing so much with her life now that she couldn't do before. So that was really fantastic to witness.
So did you do a psychic reading with her, and how did that help the thyroid?
So with the psychic reading, illustrated that there was stuff going on in her life that needed to be taken care of,
Mhm.
because it's very easy for us to sit and be rescued, whether that's someone going, oh, you know, when am I going to meet somebody? They think that they're going to be rescued and that's going to solve all their problems, but it generally brings a host of other problems.
Yeah, they just compound them.
Yeah, because now you've got two people's emotional journeys. So when she came to me and we looked at all that stuff, she had a lot to go away and think about. And then we did another session where I just gave her some Reiki and fed back what I got when I was doing the Reiki session, because I feel very physically. So if I gave you a session and you've got a bad back, I'm likely to feel that bad back. Not everybody gets that. Some people will just know that there's a problem in that area, but for me, I feel it physically. So there was a load of feedback from that, and there was a lot of emotional blockages that she was letting go of. And then she called me and said, look, I want to come to you for the coaching, for the health. I've got all these health problems and I really need to change them. And I don't think I'm going to get anywhere. Just keep going through the doctors and, you know, doing what she'd been doing. So then we specifically did a few sessions where we were working to find the roots of those problems. And then again, I gave her some Reiki at the end of each session to help those blocks release and to help balance her out again and to get the chakras all balanced back to where they need to be. So her journey's been a real mix of everything, to be honest.
You have to stay pretty healthy to be able to endure this, don't you?
um, yes, I don't think that we should be doing any energy work if we're really poorly anyway, because it's just going to deplete yours. The good thing with Reiki is, and I don't know whether your listeners will know this, is as the Reiki practitioner, when you're giving a Reiki session, you as the practitioner actually get Reiki as well, which is great because you don't get that if you do massage. You know, you
No.
massage your client and they go home and you're even more exhausted. So that does help pick you up. But yeah, you do have to look after yourself. And I do tend to make sure that I exercise and do yoga and do breath work. And I do make sure that I eat healthily as well. So.
How do you incorporate holistic practice into your healing sessions, and why do you believe that they are important? Or have you already answered that when you talked about how the Reiki and the psychic readings work in?
I bring in a lot of different holistic practices because I'm actually trained in all sorts of different things, but people would just glaze over if I listed everything. So I might work in the Akashic records and see what's going on in terms of soul contracts and life purpose. I'm trying to think of somebody that people would know on both sides of the pond. Christopher Reeves, Superman.
Mhm.
So imagine that he had a soul contract or a life purpose to raise the awareness of spinal injuries. And he did do huge amounts for spinal injury. That may have been the culmination of everything he was here to do, because you needed someone high profile that was going to raise the profile. Okay. Obviously, not everybody's on that level. It might be that they've got fibromyalgia because they have to learn to have strong boundaries and to put themselves first and value themselves. So I will bring in things like journaling, which really help people to get clarity, meditation to help slow them down, um, breath work to help reset the system because we're just so stressed as a population these days.
Mhm.
And so that puts the body into fight, flight, and freeze the whole time. And so, therefore, practices that cool us down and re-regulate us and make us calmer will all mean that the body's not in overdrive the whole time. Because if you had a sports car and sat there in neutral, revving the engine, you're going to wreck the engine. And that's effectively what we're doing as a species at the moment. Um, so I bring in all different tools that they can take away and use that aren't going to cost them anything, that they can learn really easily. And the bottom line is we are spiritual beings having a human existence. So the more we understand about our spiritual nature, the more we can live in alignment and not get dis-ease, because when we're not in alignment, we're more likely to have dis-ease.
What advice or tips would you give to women who are starting their healing journey?
Goodness. Um, I think it depends on where they're at. Some people would want to do their own self-healing and then come to someone like me if and when they hit a block they can't overcome.
Mhm.
Some people would rather come to me and get started and then go away and do their self work. So pick the tools that you know you can work with and don't set yourself a challenge that you're just never going to be able to reach. Start with the free tools. So learn meditation, learn how to journal, and there's lots of free guides out there. Um, Go to a development circle and get in touch with your spiritual nature. And all of those are free, and all of those will help give you clarity. Also, look at what it is that's in your life that you're not happy with. And it might feel like it's external. You might think, oh, I hate my job and it's miserable and there's nothing I can do about it. But generally speaking, what we find is that there are options. It's just about changing the mindset and the perspective. And then you can see the options. So sometimes just those simple tools can clear and show you the root of something that you can heal yourself. Um, if it's deeper than that and you know it's deeper than that, and I think intuitively we do know when we've got a major issue going on that's beyond us, then I would go and work with somebody to find the root of the trauma, break down the beliefs that are holding you back, and just allow you to make that change.
Don't be
And so,
afraid to ask help, right? Ask for help,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. And, there are times when I barter with people. So they'll say to me, look, I'll offer you an hour's coaching if you can give me an hour coaching. I'm like, okay, because there's always things we need to work on. None of us have, reached, purity and perfection. And I don't think we ever will. Um, so if you've got skills that you can trade with someone, even if you're a plumber, who doesn't need a plumber? So some people will barter. Um, if you can't afford to go regularly, then I would definitely recommend having a session, finding out what you can go and work on, and then go away and work on it. And then come back to that person as and when you can afford to financially. If you're in a financial position to go regularly, then I would definitely say go regularly. And if you can get it through your doctor or your medical insurance, then definitely try that as well.
Do you work with people online and in person, or just in person, or how do you do it?
I do in person and online, so I can do phone, Zoom, or in person. I prefer Zoom. I like to be able to see people, and I think it's better to see people. But in this day and age and post-pandemic, I think most people have got to adapt to adapting what they do to be able to do it online. So I'm
We
happy.
all know how to use Zoom since the pandemic. We used to, where I told you earlier, we have kids in Wantage, grandkids in Wantage, and we would play hangman with them, and Monopoly and things like that over Zoom.
Aw, but at
Yeah,
least you're connecting and you're making time for each other. And that actually is a huge part of the problem that society has these days. We're so isolated. And
yeah.
now that people work from home as well,
Mhm.
I've got friends that don't see anyone unless they've got a parcel delivery. They don't see anyone all day, every day.
And some of us think we'd like it that way, but we're all a lot healthier if we have connections, even if they're sometimes irritating.
Oh, absolutely. And, we found out in lockdown that we actually don't necessarily like being away from people.
Right.
And we are tribal, we are community based.
Mhm.
That's not to say that as empaths, we don't occasionally need to go and, take ourselves away and just sit on the bank of the river and let the world go by. But it's about balance.
Right. Exactly. So I appreciate you being here with me today. We have a free journaling guide that you are offering to people, and we'll put that link underneath your podcast on our website, and then also a free discovery call that with anybody that wants it. And we'll put that on there. And we also have your website, so we'll put that in there too. So anybody can get a hold of you if they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the discovery call is completely free. There's no obligation. We can just talk and meet and see if we fit together, because if you don't gel with someone, you're not going to want to work with them anyway. And sometimes I can give you solutions or whatever in that discovery call, and we don't even need to do any more sessions. Sometimes it can be super straightforward. So it just depends on what's going on with people. But I always love talking to people and helping them, and I can point them in directions where they can find answers and do their own research, and they may even be able to go and heal themselves without needing me.
That sounds like a win-win to me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being on. It was very interesting conversation.
It's been great to meet you, and I'm really grateful for being on your show. And I really hope this helps even just one of your listeners. Just helping one person means that everything's worthwhile.
That's great. Thank you. Have a great week.
You too. Take care.
Do you know what I can tell you? Amanda will, or not Amanda, Sylvie will get with you to let you know when you'll be on, but I can give you an idea here just really quick.
Okay.
Um, August 19th.
Okay. Perfect. I will
Okay.
put that in my diary and work my marketing around it. What do you guys normally send out so that I can share it? Do you send me like artwork and the link and everything?
I think that she sends you the link, and she might send you the show notes too.
Okay.
But she'll send you a link to our website. It's going to go on. I don't even know all of the podcast things. Our podcast guy does all that, but it goes on every single podcast channel. So,
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, so I'm on Instagram and Facebook predominantly, and I've got my mailing list. So I will send it out to all of those and get it on my link tree as well.
I'll friend you on Facebook.
Great, perfect.
Thanks.
All righty,
Bye-bye.
you take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.